My name is Mark. I am the tech specialist they sent in to recover the server logs from the Gifford Pinchot subs. Sarah's team went radio silent 3 days ago, and my job was to find out why. When I pulled up to the station, I knew something was fundamentally wrong. The building was humming. Not the familiar drone of a transformer, but a deep, low-frequency vibration that resonated in my bones and made the hair on my arms stand up. The kind of sound you feel more than you hear. I pushed open the main door and stepped inside. The air was thick and smelled of ozone and wet earth. The main office was deserted. A half-eaten lunch sat on Sarah's desk, tea food cold, the steam long gone. But what made me stop dead was the fork. It was vibrating so intensely, so impossibly fast, that it had bored a clean, circular hole right through the ceramic plate it rested on. My heart started hammering against my ribs. This wasn't a power surge. This was something else. I made my way down the hall towards the server room, my boots echoing in the unnerving silence. That's when I saw what Elias, my handler, at.I've, the residual. The back wall of the station, the solid cinder block and mortar, was flickering. One moment, it was just a plain gray wall. The next, it was a crystal clear view of the deep woods outside, as if the wall had become a massive window. But the forest I saw through it wasn't right. The trees were bone white, their branches skeletal, and they were pulsing with a soft, rhythmic light. The pulse matched a strange, thumpious sound that was now faintly audible over the building's intercom. System. Thumpus. Thumpus. My hand trembled as I keyed in the code for the server room. The heavy door swung open, and the hum grew louder, the vibration more intense. The servers were all running, their green lights blinking in steady, reassuring patterns that felt completely out of place. I sat down at the main terminal and pulled up the system logs. I scrolled through endless lines of routine diagnostic data until I reached the final entries. The last log wasn't text. It wasn't a system error or a security alert. It was a waveform, an audio file. My curiosity got the better of my fear. I put on the headphones resting on the console and clicked play. The sound that filled my ears was indescribable. It was the sound of the forest, the rustling leaves, the snapping twigs, but stretched and slowed down to an impossible degree, like tectonic plates grinding against each other. It was a deep, guttural, geological groan. Then, underneath that grinding, another sound started to emerge. A voice. A voice I recognized instantly, even though it was distorted and slow. It was my own voice, and it said, "He's behind you, Mark. Don't turn around. Just keep typing." Ice water flooded my veins. My breath hitched in my throat. I was alone in the room. I was sure of it. My training, my instincts, everything screamed at me not to turn around. My eyes darted to the blackened monitor of the adjacent server rack. In its dark, reflective surface, I could see the room behind me, and what I saw made my mind fracture. The server racks weren't solid anymore. Strips of metal and wire were peeling away from their frames, fluttering like dry leaves in a non-existent wind. And where the metal peeled back, it revealed the same thing I'd seen on the wall of white. Crackling static, an impossible void. And standing in the center of that peeling, static-filled chaos was a small child. He was wearing red sneakers, the kind any kid might have. But he didn't have a face. Where his eyes, nose, and mouth should have been, there was just a smooth, unbroken expanse of skin. He was holding one of Sarah's SAR radios. A voice crackled, not from the child, but from the speakers on the server rack all around me. "Is this the fold?" it asked, in a perfect, innocent, childlike tone. My fingers were trembling so hard I could barely keep them on the keyboard. "What do you want?" I whispered, my voice a dry rasp. "To be heard," the child replied through the speakers. "The woods are just a recording, Mark, and the tape is running out." As he spoke, the room began to tilt. Not a physical tilt. The floor beneath my feet was solid, unmoving, but my vision, my entire perception of the space, rotated a nauseating 45 degrees. I felt like I was about to slide off my chair, even though I hadn't moved an inch. The white static from the walls and servers began to leak into the room, pouring out like a thick, gray fog that carried that same smell of ozone and damp soil. I had to get out. I grabbed the portable log recorder, shoving it into my jacket, and bolted for the door. I burst out of the station and into the parking lot, gasping for the cold, clean air. But the horror wasn't over. Sarah's team, they were all there, all 6 of them, standing in a perfect, silent circle around my truck. And they were all tilted at that same impossible, sickening 45-degree angle. Their bodies rigid, their eyes were blank white orbs, and their mouths were open, stretched in a silent, synchronized scream that I felt in my soul. I didn't dare look up at the sky. I had a sickening feeling that if I did, I wouldn't see the familiar stars or the moon. I'd see the edge of the world peeling back, just like the servers in the room, revealing the white static behind our reality. I'm recording this now from a motel room in Olympia. I drove for 6 hours straight. I haven't slept in 4 days. I can't close my eyes. Every time I do, I hear it. That thumpis, thumpis. It's the sound of the recording, the sound of the world ending, and every time I look in a mirror, my reflection is just a little bit off. It moves a second or two slower than I do. It's catching up. The recording is catching up. The fold is closing.